Normalcy has returned to our fair Grunwald Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing Zone studio. Stibbs' stress level has come back down to just moderately high levels from extremely high, which is usually where it lives.
Yeah. Don't worry, though, Stibbs. Another commercial break will be here before you know it.
I got one more of those bad boys to do. And I get to talk about my favorite person. Will the Garth Brooks concert, a de facto 8th home game.
Will it count for the sell streak?
Of course it will. If they sell it out, there's absolutely going to be a press release.
Oh, yeah.
Will it feature alcohol sales inside the stadium? And will it be the thing that makes alcohol sales a reality for Husker football games?
Yes, and eventually, yes.
You got to give him credit for this?
Well, people will.
Decades from now.
But they will sell alcohol in the stadium for the concert. Alcohol will be sold within Memorial Stadium within 5 years for football games.
According to Garrett Classy, who is the deputy athletic director, senior deputy athletics director, they have put in the paperwork to sell alcohol, and that it will consider more events like this if all goes well come August. Now, that means maybe more concerts. But if you don't think that this might not be a trial run, the difference is, obviously, even though there's going to be a lot of overlap, because tickets are being right now offered to season ticket holders, it's not a 100% overlap of people who are going to go to football games versus going to concerts. So it is a different audience. But just the logistics of how it can be sold, where it can be sold, how it's going to affect, of all things, I know it sounds silly, the lines at the bathrooms. There's a lot of different things that go into adding this because it will change, just the usual traffic flow around the stadium, the pedestrian traffic flow inside the stadium. So it's good to have things like this. Just to see how it would work. It's not just as easy as, hey, let's back in the Miller Lite truck and open it up and just start selling. There are other things to consider as well. So I'm glad, and I hope that this gets through and that they do other events. But I agree. I think we will see beer sales, alcohol sales in Memorial Stadium. Maybe, I don't know, 5 years, but definitely within the 10.
Wow. It's a long time. There is a chance that Tom Brady, if he averages 290 yards per game in the first 3 games of the season, will be in position to take over the all-time passing yardage leadership from Drew Brees in Week 4 at New England. How surreal would that be for Patriots fans, and should we care?
Oh, absolutely. I think this just makes the game even more fascinating.
It's true. If it makes them sadder, I'm all for it.
I mean, the whole thing.
Including a former coworker of ours, Stips?
All of them.
Two former coworkers.
I truly believe this is the biggest return home in NFL history. Even more than Favre.
Yes. Man, I must be on an island. Stibbs, you think this is bigger than Favre going back to Green Bay?
Is Tom Brady going to be considered a better quarterback than Brett Favre?
Yes.
I think that's all you need to know.
All right.
He's maybe the best football player of all time.
Because, listen, I understand where you're coming from.
I know what you mean, too.
Favre is a beloved player. A lot of people identified with him. He changed the franchise.
And that's more, I think in mine it's more like relationship fans and Favre.
Yeah, I get that.
But because Brady was so standoffish.
It was one Super Bowl compared to 5 or whatever the hell
he
he
may have been
made.
standoffish, but Boston fans didn't care because he won.
But I feel like Favre had a better relationship.
The number of Brady jerseys and everything.
You're thinking of his personality and the way that he his kid-like kind of way out. Like he's the antithesis of Tom Brady. He's the exact opposite.
The other thing was Favre wanted to stay and wanted to keep playing.
Whereas Brady bounced out. Yeah.
Whereas Brady walked out on his own. Brady could have stayed. They would have kept him, but he left. This is good. And then you add the potential of maybe having to stop the game and award him a game ball or at least just acknowledge it in the stadium.
A piece of paper.
Oh, yeah, like they
Drew
did
Brees?
to Drew Brees.
Here's this piece of paper. Congratulations.
Oh, this game will be enormous, and just adding this potential for a record on top of it would just make it even more interesting.
Yeah, you kind of talked me into this being bigger than Favre coming home, because I kept thinking throughout the day as it's come up, I know it came up in the crossover with Gary, of just the relationship between Favre and Green Bay and the one between Brady and Boston. But you add on top of it that he could set a record for the all-time passing yardage, and for the first time in a while, one of these records isn't going to just get broken the very next week. Like him and Breeze have been trading records for a couple of years now. Who's the closest person behind him? Aaron Rodgers, and he's way back right now with Peyton Manning retired too. So, I wonder what their reaction would be. If they'll be like mad, will they cheer? I mean, I'm guessing they'll cheer actually pretty loud.
After many leaks, the NFL schedule was released in full last night. What stood out to you?
Speaking of the crossover, we kind of hit on this there. The number of times that the Saints are playing in like big primetime games, maybe I am way underestimating how good this team is going to be. But I thought that they were a bit of a paper tiger last year, and that showed itself with their lack of success in the playoffs. And I think that they will continue to take a step back as this year goes along. I am not sold on Winston. I am not sold on Taysom Hill. They also have, who they signed? Oh, they what's his name? Ian Book from Notre Dame. I don't think he's ready. So that the fact that they're involved in so many like important marquee games on over the course of the season.
I think it's all the storylines. We just talked about the Brady returning storyline. You have the Goff Stafford trade playing out in Rams Lions. You have whatever drama is going to happen with the Packers. I think the fact that they loaded up the first weekend of the NFL, I mean, they loaded that schedule up with some really good games right out of the chute. Mm-hmm. Remember last year, it seemed like outside of Saints, Bucks, it was kind of a slow start.
And I
mean,
think
there weren't a lot of great storylines in the first few weeks.
I think they had a soft opening because they didn't know if the season would get off.
And I know the schedule was a little different because they were trying to, in case there was going to be a COVID pause, they were trying to work it in such a way where, important games could be made up versus non-essential games. But I think the just number of different storylines they have built into this schedule is probably the most interesting thing to me.
Will Blake Bortles take a meaningful snap in Green Bay this season? Will he take a snap at all?
Does a meaningful snap include being the every-time quarterback when he's playing with some of the kids in the neighborhood across from...
That does not count.
Lambeau? Okay, well then no.
They ride bikes there?
Yeah. No, he won't.
Will he take a snap?
Well, he'd probably take some practice snaps.
Yeah, I think the safe bet is to say no on both of them, but it'd be pretty funny if he had to.
Will, I've lost it. The Lakers won again last night and could be on their way towards ruining the excitement of a play-in game versus the Warriors by avoiding it entirely. Does that happen?
I don't think so. They'd have to win out. They have a couple games left. They need some 0-2 results from the teams in front of them, Portland and Dallas. And I mean, Portland does have a tough schedule with Phoenix and Denver down the stretch, but I think we're going to get Lakers and Warriors, and we're going to get John watching a basketball game. It's pretty cool.
I didn't say that.
An NBA game.
I didn't say that.
We'll break it down.
I didn't say that.
We'll get a Lakers guest on.
You know
what? Warriors guest on.
You know what will happen is I'll check my phone, and if it's close in the fourth quarter, especially late, I might turn it over if I know what channel it's on.
I will text you the channel, John. I will let
you. You won't know what channel it is, though.
The game?
The number. I need to know the number.
No, you know the channel numbers if I
Actually,
say
I don't.
TNT.
I am so not good at remembering channel numbers.
You don't know what TNT is or ESPN?
No. I just know it's in the 40s.
Wow.
Well, what do you have?
We have Allo.
I wouldn't know any of that.
But you know what Cox Cable is.
I know Cox.
All the sports channels are in like the 20s and 30s, and I can never remember. I always miss it by one. I want FS1, and I always end up on NBC. I want CBS Sports Network. I always end up on...
I don't know CBS Sports Network. That network sucks.
221 on DirecTV.
I think the only one I get near 100% of the time is NFL Network. It's 38.
See, I still remember all those on DirecTV, and I haven't had DirecTV in forever.
223 on Cox.
It's 212 on DirecTV.
I haven't had Cox, like I said, I haven't had Cox Cable in a very, very, very long time.
There you go.
Yeah, I know a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's TNT 36, I think.
Mm-hmm. 31 ESPN.
ESPN, 30 ESPN2.
Yep.
77 NBC Sports, I think.
47 Bally, whatever.
78 Fox Sports 1.
I think so.
I think.
Look at that. That's
fun.
Those are channel numbers.
Thanks for joining us.
And that doesn't help me at all.
The Lakers won again last night.
Nope, we already did that one.
Speaking of the Lakers, why did they do their championship banner raising ceremony last night?
Stibbs, why would you ask such a stupid, moronic
Well,
question?
I tried to ask the last one again, and you wouldn't let me.
Fans weren't at
And then
the
you yelled at me
games
for doing
all
this
year.
one.
They wanted to wait until fans could show up, Stibbs.
And
That's
so
why.
what? They had like 10 fans there, and they decided to do it then?
Probably 12 fans, John. I don't know how many fans were. They waited till fans were there. See, unlike your teams, the Lakers care about their fans. They love their fans.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they do. When they
Lakers.
charge them $500 to sit courtside.
Hey, capitalism, John. You love capitalism,
I do
too.
love capitalism.
There you go. They're trying to make a buck. Times 500.
Then how come more Lakers fans didn't show up?
Well, because they have rules and laws and, restrictions.
Restrictions. Sounds like a communist country to me.
Well, it's not. It's in America.
Nebraska lawmakers blocked what would have been one of the nation's strictest medical marijuana laws on Wednesday.
What does this have to do with sports?
As a consequence,
Yes, do it.
The state may see one of the most wide-open medical marijuana measures on the ballot next year. Go Tigers.
that, according to the Omaha World Herald, good.
Boy, the Omaha World Herald sounds a lot like Coach O.
Good getting a comment from Coach O, Omaha World Herald. That's big. Will we, as a state, legalize it in 2022? That's 2022, the year 2022.
Oh.
What are we legalizing?
Medical marijuana.
For medical use only.
Man, I got an ankle issue, guys. Of course we are.
What do you mean?
Of course we're going to legalize medical marijuana next year.
Based on what? What is your empirical data?
I have glaucoma.
First of all, my data is that as a country, America has been moving way into support of marijuana, both medical and
But what
recreational.
about Nebraska?
See, you keep underestimating.
I'm asking you. I'm just asking.
I think that it's going to happen. I think there's enough support for it. I don't have a pullout for whether.
I think it would have happened if they wouldn't have ripped it off the ballot. This last time.
It easily would have
They
happened.
got scurred.
Yeah.
I don't know yet. I'm not sure.
Oh, cop out! Boo!
I don't know. If I had to guess today, I would say probably not.
Wow.
I would say
What's
probably
your
not.
empirical data?
I've lived in this state for
But
decades.
you said that about gambling.
It's true.
And I was wrong about gambling, I admit.
See, and I think this will have a very similar support to gambling. What was gambling? 60-something?
See, I don't know if it's necessarily a one-to-one correlation. There's a lot more, call it irrational, whatever it is, but I think there's more of an irrational fear of
Weed?
this than there is of gambling. Because we've already
That's fair.
had some
In a
gambling
sense, I can see that.
in this state. That's the only reason why. Listen, all this time, I'm not against medical marijuana or legalization of marijuana anyway.
Big weed guy.
I figure.
Look at Marijuana Boy.
Hey,
Get him a shirt,
hey,
Steve.
y'all want to be dope smoking fiends? Fine, but we want to tax your ass.
Hell yeah.
I bet you do.
One Blunt Friday coming to a show near you.
especially with medical marijuana.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Especially with medical marijuana. It doesn't make any sense why they did this,
take
but
these-
it's the same fear tactics of, well, it's just going to lead to this. Well, whatever.
Next
It's
up,
going to lead to worse drugs. Instead, take these extremely opioids that you'll become addicted to in no time.
yeah.
Very cool.
I don't have a problem with this. I think there's too much irrational fear.
What about legalizing cocaine?
Yeah, is it Portland that just legalized everything just for fun?
They didn't legalize it. They
decriminalized it?
Decriminalized
Isn't that
it,
what that is?
basically.
And then they burned the city down.
See, John was so bad about Portland.
Yeah.
And now people are living in tents and there's garbage everywhere.
TripAdvisor published a map of reviews of the best barbecue cities in America. Newark, New Jersey is on there, but nothing in Texas. St. Louis made it, but no Kansas City. Oh. Columbus, Ohio is included, but not Memphis. What does this say about online reviews?
That online reviews suck.
got the
Unless it's
Kansas
good
City one
things
right.
about unsportsmanlike conduct. Those reviews are the right ones.
Sure, but How is there nothing in Texas?
And how is Newark, New Jersey? When I think of New Jersey, you know what I think of? Barbecue.
Now, I have actually,
great.
believe it or not,
Oh, no way.
No, I had good barbecue in both Newark and in New York City.
Was it Sbarro?
No. This was legitimate barbecue.
Favorite New York slice.
But, come on.
That's really dumb. That's my take.
I mean, the whole damn state of Texas is just one big barbecue. And it's
everyone's
great.
just slow roasted. And that's not a euphemism for marijuana.
Coming up next, Elite Sportsbook. Available in the beautiful
the fine state
of Iowa, where it's legal to bet on the Hawkeyes and the Huskers. Bet of the day is next.